For about a week or so, there's been headlines floating around about 8 million more Americans have fallen into poverty, have slipped into poverty. All of the headlines from these news organizations trying to make it sound like, oh, whoops, little accident happened and oh no, suddenly 8 million Americans are now living in poverty. As if it were an accident and not the way this entire system is designed. Here's what's happening in the United States. Since the CARES Act, the $2 trillion CARES Act was passed back in April, 8 million Americans have been forced into poverty. Unfortunately, those one-time $1,200 checks weren't enough. It wasn't enough to sustain people for 7 or 8 months. Who could have thought that? Wow, that's a shocker. Oh, allowing the extra $600 a week in unemployment insurance to expire. Who could have thought that would force people into poverty? Oh, allowing the eviction moratoriums across the country to expire. Suddenly, now we've got an eviction crisis. Who could have predicted this? Other than, of course, literally everyone. Here's the thing, folks. These 8 million people didn't slip into poverty. This was not an accident. This was 100% by design. And not just the design of the overall economy itself that is only built to benefit those at the very top. There's another design that allowed or forced these 8 million people to now live in poverty. And that's Mitch McConnell, Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. He is the one who has single-handedly blocked any piece of stimulus legislation from coming to the floor of the Senate. And he instructed Donald Trump not that long ago to not make a deal with Nancy Pelosi because he was trying to ram through Trump's Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett. And if he sent over a piece of stimulus legislation, then he may have to deal with that before he could get the judge in place prior to the election. It's Mitch McConnell. Nancy Pelosi has not been perfect in any of this. Steve Mnuchin and Donald Trump, who've been negotiating with her, have not been perfect. The recent piece of legislation that Nancy Pelosi turned down was not perfect. It did include a lot of pork for those at the very top, bailing out industries that didn't need it. But it would have sent another round of checks to American citizens. It would have increased or put back $400 a week in extra unemployment benefits. Not as good as the $600 they have, but better than the $0 extra that they're getting now. It wasn't a perfect bill by any stretch of the imagination, but right now we can't wait for perfect. We can't wait for perfect. And that's probably a good slogan for a lot of people right now. That's kind of the thing a lot of us need to keep in mind. We all want perfect, but I don't think we're ever going to get perfect. Sometimes you do have to settle. Sometimes you have to make do and you have to build back better with what you have. That's where we're at. But overall, as bad as Pelosi's been, as bad as Trump and Mnuchin have been on this particular stimulus deal, nobody's been worse than McConnell. Mitch McConnell is the one who has prevented this. Mitch McConnell is the one who bears the most responsibility for forcing these extra 8 million people into poverty. That's what is happening today. More people are going to continue to be pushed into poverty. Why? Because there is not going to be a stimulus bill that comes out in between this election and the next inauguration, or at least the next incoming House and Senate, which happens at the beginning of January. Folks, we got 2 more months. 2 more months of evictions. 2 more months of businesses closing as COVID retakes the United States. The numbers are going up. They're not going down. It is not getting better. It's getting worse. And the economy is going to follow suit. More people losing their jobs. More people kicked out of their homes. More people unable to make ends meet on any given month. And Mitch McConnell is holding the keys. And, therefore, holding the entire American working public hostage.